our next speaker, Suman. So Suman is right here. So Suman, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing fine, Ajit. Thanks for inviting me for this meetup. It's really informative. I was just following up all the sessions since morning, and they are very informative, right from the Docker history. Then your session was very good, actually. I mean, got to know many things around our IoT and Shuja session also. So, yeah, looking forward for my talk also at the same time.
Yeah, thanks, Suman, for your time, and just let the audience know that Suman has been there consistently as a speaker from last like 1.5 year, more than 1.5 year. I do remember we did a session in SAP Labs
Yes,
where
yes.
there were around 500 plus people, so it was a great session, right?
Yeah, it was
So,
a good.
so let me go ahead and introduce you, and then most probably you can start with the session. So,
Sure.
for anyone who is new to Suman, Suman is a senior DevOps engineer at SAP Labs India. On a day-to-day basis, he manages DevOps for SAP ABIP on Cloud Foundry and Kubernetes platform. He is a microblogger and very involved in the community as a speaker at Collabnix as well as Cloud Native and Data Management Group. So he's here to talk a lot and lot more about the container security. So let me go ahead and add you, Suman. Suman, can you share your screen? Okay. Yep. You can
Yeah,
directly go to your slides.
sure. So is it visible?
Yep.
Okay. So thank you, Ajit, for the introduction, and hello, community people. It's great to see you on a weekend. Weekend, but I think the session that I'll be giving would be helpful for those who are new to the containers, and probably for those who are thinking of how to implement security within the container ecosystem, not only with Docker, Kubernetes, but as a whole on a greater ecosystem for development of their applications, that may be microservices or any such other services that are built on containers. So yeah, so as Ajit already gave a brief introduction, so now I'll just go through quickly. So I'm working as a senior DevOps engineer with SAP Labs. I have been a speaker in various international tech conferences with Open Source Summit from Linux Foundation, HashiTalks, and with DevOps India Summit. I have been community member and speaker with Collabnix for quite a long time, and I have given and I have shared my experiences, my learnings on different technologies with Docker and Kubernetes with the community at large. And I'm also like a micro blogger, and I do post articles on various technologies related to the PaaS, cloud native, and serverless. And when I'm not in my work, I would rather like to travel, and a big foodie by nature. So, okay, so let's go to the agenda. So, the agenda for today is to start with understanding what container security threat looks like from a recent analysis, and then looking into the threat model, the vectors, the objects which are mainly responsible for bringing this security aspect within the containers, and then understanding the runtime security that is looming overall for all the container based deployments, understanding some of the common threats and risk, how we can basically overcome these threats by adopting certain best principles, and then going through a bit on the tools and technology that can help people like us, like the developers, the DevOps, to basically mitigate this issues, and a quick demo on some of the tools. So, to start with, StackRox, a company, a leading security company, which was recently acquired by Red Hat, has conducted a survey in the last year in between the users and the end companies to understand that what is the level of security mishap that the company or the as an end user experiences, and what are the common pitfalls. So from that result, what has been picked up is that almost like 67% attributed to misconfiguration of your application containers that are running in your environment. Some of like 22% was basically attributed to certain major vulnerability that got introduced within the software itself, like the container image that is pulled from the particular registry. And then 17% was mainly attributed during the runtime. So the runtime is a crucial part here, because most of the containers life cycle stays within that runtime. So anything that is happening there gets directly or impacts the end applications. And some of them, 16 around 16% was where there was the auditing which got failed because of the issues which were not being followed as per the best practices laid by some of the common standards like the CIS benchmark. We'll discuss this in the next slides. Just I want to give you a very brief overview. And 10% there was no response. So overall, I can see there is a certain level of security that is always there, whether you are running your application standalone on an environment, or you are running in a DevOps pipeline. So that's why maybe the term DevSecOps is gaining more traction these days, because the aim here is to mitigate these issues as early as possible before they actually land up in your production environment or to your customer environment. So OSP, which is Open Web Application Security Project, is it's a non profit standard based community driven project which has published a threat model on these containers that basically define different parameters from where, I mean, this from where we can experience some sort of threat from unknown persons or an attackers, if I say. So some of them were, first of all, if I list out point wise, so first thing was around the kernel exploit. So what happens in the kernel exploit, like if your container starts panicking, then what it does, it can overall exploit, or it can bring down the overall host system where it is running, because since the containers in nature share the kernel resources such as C groups or namespaces, then certain parameters, if doesn't go well on the container level, can get boiled down at the host level, thus bringing down the host system. Then there was another parameter called as denial of service that happened across the network file system on your resources, where it was seen that if a compromised container, so in general the containers share resources from the kernel space, user space itself. Now if one of the containers gets compromised, then it can basically fully utilize the resources and starve out other containers. So this may leads to, again, misutilization of the containers, and also it can basically create an attack chain within the host system. The third thing was around the network. So network plays a very key role, because we know that in any, like whenever we talk about operating an application in a cloud environment, there are different network segments, whether it's your private network or public network, which basically gives you certain access point for people or for someone to get an access, or to get a path towards your application. So similarly here, on the network level, there can be a possibility that some of the ports which are meant to be public is not secured properly, like over a TLS site, like without having a mutual TLS between the service endpoints, or it can basically leads to an internal routing from one container to other container if they are not secured properly, or if the access is not given correctly to the container where it is meant to. So uh, coming from the network, the other part which got highlighted here is the container outbreak, which mostly happens in cases where you are running some of your images from your Docker registry, and you don't know whether the images which has been created in the registry are the actual image. I mean, that is not maligned some way. Let's say, for example, some of the the like mostly we end up using certain image from the public workspace into our environment without knowing that what is the level of permission that has been set within that image. So it can be a flaw that is introduced manually, it can be a flaw that has been introduced unintentionally. So this is one of the area. While poison image mostly reflects to those containerized image where there can be suspected viruses, trojans that has been introduced and has been infected, or the images which has been outdated and still we are using that without a proper kernel patch. The last thing that was basically highlighted in the threat model was the secrets, or the, let's say we talk about the different secure informations. Let's say it can be an api, it can be password of a database that we are passing, and how we are passing that it matters. Like normally the configuration should not be passed as an environment variable, rather it should be stored in certain vault or in a secret management solution and then access. But then it again boils down that how you are using a image. If you're using any public image which has basically created certain areas where the secrets can be compromised, then it will bring or basically compromise your entire operating system. So looking from the threat model, we now basically bring down the attack vectors from where we can imagine that your container can get compromised. Okay, so first thing is about the application code that as a developer you may develop, or the other developers may give you, which may contain certain loopholes or flaws which attackers can exploit, that can simply raise from basically improper user privilege to to using certain file or copy command without knowing from where you are basically copying the particular artifact. Second is the badly configured container image. So this mostly again relies that once you have built your image and you have pushed into the registry, but then your registry is uh, if you are basically pushing it in a public registry, and there is a chance that your image can be replaced another again with another image that may contain similar properties, but that has a different digital certificates or a verification key which may not match, and you may not know about it, and you can simply use it maybe into your CI/CD pipeline without scanning it first. So that where it refers that your container image gets compromised. The third is building the meshing attack. So a meshing attack is sometimes we refer as a brute force, where basically the attackers tries to influence the build of the container image by some way, by try to gaining access to the host operating system through certain, let's say it can be like there is a certain network port which has been open, and we are continuously or someone is continuously sending a ping request to get certain response and try to see which particular process is giving a response. So as we know that Docker runs as a process within a host system, so it may happen if you haven't secure your input, then the attacker can get us I mean he can sniff on the particular route and can get access to that, and that is by brute force he can get he can get the access of your entire host system or take down the entire host environment. Fourth is the exposed secrets, which I was already discussing, where the secrets or the informations related to your TLS certificates, related to your password credentials, related to your username passwords of your users that you are defining, should not be stored as plain text within your container image. Rather, you should use certain uh, vault secret manage. I mean, you should use certain secret management tool that is provided from some like third-party companies like HashiCorp has their vault, or you can use the Docker secret management as well to basically create it more, or basically encrypt the informations in while running it within the container. The next thing that is the insecure networking, which basically refers to the intra and the intercommunication pattern that happens between the containers that is running within the host machine, as well as when the containers is communicating with other containers that are running on a different host machines. So ideally in this case you need to have a very strong periphery or yeah, let's say you basically set up a very strong firewall connectivity or rules between your host machine, so that even your containers has certain way to reach to from outside the gateway of your host machine, that it should not lead to connect to other host machines. So networking becomes a very important factor here. Now, when we talk about the attack vectors, then mostly most of the security that comes boils down at the runtime level. So, what container runtime security involves? So, it basically gives you the, or basically helps a company or an individual to understand what are the potential threats that is that can affect your application, and how and what are the different ways to mitigate that. So when we actually talk about runtime security, it actually brings down implementing certain level of restrictions on the runtime. So it can be on the Docker side, you are using the Docker runtime, or you can use say other runtimes such as a Cryo, or let's say you are using Runc for instance, or even Containerd. But whatever runtime you use, the ultimate I mean the aim here, it should be that just not only to basically minimize the attack surface area, but there should be a considerable way of bringing restriction right from how you are basically monitoring the network endpoints to the payloads that it is going through the container, and then basically bringing down how you are able to communicate between two containers, that means the network. So all those three, when this combines, it breaks basically the chain vector which is responsible for bringing this attack right from the time the image is built to it is run. So there are different levels of attack that are there. So at the container level, it can be at the vulnerability side, there can be certain suspicious processes running, can be that some of your file system activity is unauthorized and you are able to so that's why the monitoring becomes very important in all the aspects, whether you are monitoring at the container, host, or the network level. Similarly, at the host level, there can be privilege escalation, or there can be, if you are like managing your containers using certain orchestrators such as a Kubernetes, or let's say Docker Swarm, or it can be any other orchestrator tool, then you have to understand that you have to set or limit the blast radius of your controller, so that only the genuine request goes through and gets accepted at the place where the containers are getting scheduled. And then at the network level also, that involves different attack threats that can be coming from the inside as well as from the outside, that also can lead to certain DDoS attack or DNS attack, which we have mostly seen. The most concern here is to reduce the MITM attacks, or the man in the middle attack, as much as possible, so that we can basically secure our entire workflow of building the container from the build ship to the run state. Now, let us look into some of the common threats and risks which we have mostly observed while running containers inside an applications or while building microservices. First thing is about the image risk, which we have already discussed, that it leads certain image vulnerability, configuration defects, or there can be certain embedded virus or malwares that we don't know that we are using. Second is about the configuration risk, which mostly leads or it's sometimes mostly driven manually, because sometimes we unlawfully gives more privilege than what it is needed for an application to run. So we have to ensure that we have minimal privileges for a container to run on the host system, thereby reducing the attack service and giving less chance for an attackers to get access to the container level. The third is the orchestrated risk, which basically leads about securing your administrative level periphery. Basically, can get lead to unauthorized access, and then there can be certain interconnected network traffic that we don't know, but it is happening, and we have to minimize them. And also, at certain level, we have to understand what is the workload we are running on our system, and what is the particular traffic that it requires. So based on that, we can basically open those ports or allow those processes only to run. The next thing is about the registry risk. Registry is basically refers where we have certain insecure connectivity to the registry that we are connecting. Let's say, for example, we have built our own private registry instead of using the Docker Hub registry or the or any secure registry, and then we don't know how we haven't basically secured it end to end. So in that case, basically this also give an access for the attacker who might get connected, or who might get thrown into your internal network, and from there he can reach to your registry from the public network inbound access. So there can be certain insufficient authorization and restrictions that can be imposed at the registry risk level. Host OS risk, which basically leads mostly to the attacks, the large attack that happen at the host level, that can be because of a compromised kernel at the host layer. Um, it might be that the OS image that we are using are not patched properly. Then that's why it can basically leads to more level of vulnerability and file system tampering. So we discuss about the threats and risk that greatly looms while running containers on the on an infrastructure. But then there are certain best practices which we can follow. First is understanding how we can keep our base system updated. So I've divided that into multiple segments so as to understand that in which level we can basically adopt which best practices. So for the Docker, host and kernel security is basically keeping your base system updated always. Use minimal concentric host system, so with minimal level package that it is needed. Don't unnecessarily blot your container image with packages that is not needed by our application. And also we can basically impose certain access control policy in the form of seccomp, AppArmor and AC Linux to provide more restriction at the kernel level. Then second, at the container resource abuse level, we can basically use the kernel resource properties such as C groups to limit how much resource we want to allocate to our containers. Then we can basically implement certain monitoring and alerting on the deployed containers so that we know that if there are a certain spike on the resources that is being used at the container level, it may be an indication that an attacker is trying to sniff your container. The third is the container image authenticity, where basically we ensure that whatever the images we are using has been digitally signed. Only the signed images are allowed to use on your actual environment, whether you are using standalone or on a CI/CD platform. And basically, like, you can use certain such as Docker registry for this purpose. And also, it is always mandatory that when you use image directly from your registry, you basically run a scan before you are actually implementing on your environment. The next is about container image vulnerabilities. Container image vulnerability is more about ensuring that your images are scanned at regular intervals to understand if there are any new flaws that are introduced and to patch them as regular as possible. Also, the scanning tool that we'll be discussing just in few slides next also helps to understand that how we can improve the shift left process. So basically introducing security more at the earlier level in the DevOps area, so that we can mitigate the chance of having a brutal attack from the attackers or our application getting compromised when it is basically launched in the production environment. Compromise secrets is where we should also ensure that we should not pass any sensitive information as an environment variable, rather use certain credentials or secret storage such as a key vault to store the images. And also definitely no, we should not store it in a container image in a registry. Container networking traffic is where we should always ensure that we are using a TLS connectivity end to end, preferably MTLS, so as to give a secure endpoint between two different services which are communicating. Also allowing that the intercommunication that is happening on a secure port, not on any port such as port 2375 that we are using. So when we talk about the container breakout, it is more referred to the file systems that we're using. We can improve our restriction here by adding more capabilities that is available from the Linux kernel as well. Then also monitoring certain mount points such as var and docsock, where basically a socket file is bounded, and that is basically responsible for running the process to ensure that it is not compromised in a way, and to give as less privilege as possible. Don't run this files using, we should not run it with a higher privilege so that anyone can execute that. So now when we talk about basically the vulnerability side, then there comes up I mean, there comes obviously a question then how we can remediate this vulnerability, because we simply cannot go and do manual actions. Yeah, definitely you don't have to do. So that's why we have a different set of tools available both at the open source and also at the enterprise level, which helps us to do this auditing, scanning, and signing in these three different steps. So I mean, these tools are just a few yeah, are in few number which I mentioned. There are more tools which are there which can basically help you, but these are some of the best popular tools which has been accepted in the community and also has been used mostly at the enterprise level as well. So for the auditing, the most useful tool that comes is from the Docker itself, which is the Docker benchmark that gives you it's a tool basically that helps you to run certain scripts in order to validate whether your containers is in tune to the practices which is led by the Docker security benchmark, which is provided by the CIS standard, actually Center for Information Security and Standard. Docker is another tool which is developed open source that does the same way. It basically helps you to understand whether the images that you are running within your system are complied against the CIS benchmark tool. OpenSCAP is basically broadly it helps to define different policies and also set up different auditing requirements that you can follow, which is again aligning to the base security standards that basically helps you to ensure that your container environment is safe and secure. When it comes on the analysis scanning, there are a lot of tools in the place, like for example the Clear, which is basically a very good tool which was actually provided or created by Core OS, and now it's completely open source. And basically this what it does is basically an helps to check your containers images against a common vulnerability databases which is fetched from multiple other databases as well. Similar to that, Trivy is also a tool which is from the Aquasec and the Aqua security team, and that basically helps you to understand the images that you are running onto your system contains any common vulnerabilities or not. So basically it will list all the vulnerabilities, and it will basically help you to ensure that what are the level of vulnerabilities that are present onto your image. Cilium is more at the network level. It's a great tool to analyze what is happening at your kernel level, more from the kernel space to the user space. It basically helps to troubleshoot the packet flow using the eBPF as the technology to do that. Sysdig also basically helps you to scan your container images that you are deploying and basically check out for any known vulnerabilities. Then there are tools like Anchor, which does also the same. To mention, like there are good amount of tools on the enterprise level, such as JFrog has their X-ray tool, which basically does the complete not only the vulnerability check but also checks across the compliance issues, and also it lays down the different policies that should be followed in ensuring that your image is safe and secure on your environment. Sync is also a great tool which recently got added with the Docker desktop version, and basically you can use the Docker scan here to understand the common vulnerabilities that are there in the image. Next, coming into the signing side is where we understand that how the image that you're using are, I mean, it is proper, or is there any vulnerabilities that are there. So Notary is one of the most popular tool here in this space that basically helps you to understand whether the image that you are pulling from the registry is digitally signed and can be used into environment. Similar to that, Docker has the image signing content trust, which basically gives you a possibility to sign your images in digital manner, ensuring that only the verified images are pulled and run into your environment. So okay, so enough of theory. I hope it was not so boring, but let's deep down into the demo and see some of the tools in action specifically. So I have a Docker environment here. I'm just running I'm latest version of the Docker, and just I want to show you how some of this tool helps us in basically understanding that how we can mitigate these attacks. So first I will take showing you what Docker bench does. So I have a gist. I will quickly copy that. So I've just created just to uh, give some time, else I have to copy the entire thing. So I'll share this later in my slide deck about this gist. So the Docker Bench Security is, as I was telling, it's an auditing tool that basically tells you the containers that you are running, whether not only the containers. If I say, it basically scans your entire container ecosystem, right from the file system, right from the configurations, right from the permissions that are set, right from the host configuration, and it will basically list you that what are the warnings, or let's say what are the critical things that you should look forward. And what it does, it basically compares this against the CIS benchmark standard, which is already laid down. So it's basically just help you in running them quickly on your system. So let's say, for example, if I see here, one issue is that I can see that ensure that daemon JSON file are set to 644 or more restrictive permission. Now every scan will basically give you a score. That score basically helps you to highlight that how secure is your environment. So the more you mitigate this issues, then the score increases. So let's say I just run 644 slash etc docker daemon JSON, because it complained here that it was not set to the permission. Sorry, it's var run docker.sock. Oh, sorry, it's docker. Okay, now let's say if I run the Docker security once more here, so definitely, since I have done some changes into my system, thereby it will identify that okay, some of the security risk can be mitigated because some actions has been taken, and already it will list my score here to be something more. So checks is 105 and score is 9. And if I see here, uh, okay, so here it says that ensure that the Docker socket file is set to root Docker wrong permission for var on sock. So let me just change that also. Uh, okay, let me just see, maybe some of the file settings is not there. Okay. Okay, sorry, it has already passed, and I was looking into this set to 44. Okay, it passed already. Sorry, I was looking into setting that again because I just observed the previous setting. So anyway, that is fine. So this is how we basically look into the Docker security settings. So next thing, the next tool that I'm going to show you is about how we basically run or try to get a vulnerability understanding about our existing Docker image here. So in this case, I'll be using the Trivy. And the beauty of this kind of tool is that every tool you can run as a container. So you don't need to really set it up in your environment. You can just run it just to get the vulnerability out. I mean the vulnerability understanding of that particular image, and that's it. You don't need to set up really on your environment. So if you see, I have basically used Trivy here, and here what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to scan the Python 3.4 hyphen alpine image, and it basically will list me all the known vulnerabilities, like which CV ID it is belonging to and what is the severity, if it is high or low. And it says that it is basically found in this particular version, but it is fixed in a higher version. So which basically leads us to understand that what version of that image we should use in our environment. So similar here is the tool called as Clear. So what Clears does for us, so Clears, I had already set it up here. 1 minute. Okay, I'll just set it up. So Clear basically helps you to do the same thing, but in this case, it basically look more for the uh, static databases. So let's say if I just need to run, sorry, clear the screen, and I just take the IP address here, 172.17.0.1, and what I will do, I'll just so before using that, what I have to do, I have to pull an image, because it always looks up into the image that has been pulled onto your system. So unlike like Trivy, it cannot directly communicate to the registry and pull, but if you have the images running in your environment, then it can very well list that. So if I just do a clear scanner, and then I have to just give the IP or where I'm running. So it's 172.17.0.1, and then I just give here Nginx, that I want to basically scan it. So what it does, it basically starts the scanning process, and it basically gives you the whole list of vulnerabilities. So Clear is more more elaborative here. So if I just give with a more option, you would be able to understand what it is just doing. So yeah, here you can see that whenever it basically scans, it scans your entire image layers. So that's why it is able to get the vulnerabilities across every layers that is being created for your image, and there it basically gives you what are the current CVE that is available, with a good description also, like there's a particular flaw which is introduced here, and that you should mitigate those. So these are some of the tools which basically helps you in gaining understanding, like how you should basically how you should basically secure your container environment. I should not say more container, but your container ecosystem together, because it's not about just securing the containers, but more about securing at the host level as well. So some of the final thoughts, that security is very important here in this aspect, because we have seen that cybersecurity can lead to a damage on the reputation of an organization. It can introduce certain penalties, unwanted legal issues from the end user side. DevOps and security team has to work closely in a neat environment. That's why we have something called as the DevSecOps, so as to basically improve the security posture and accelerate the speed of how the applications are brought into the market. And security should be everyone concerns. That should be one important thing to understand. It's not like the DevOps people only understanding security, but the developer don't understand. They have to understand, because they are actually responsible for building the application from the base source code, right? So the time has come to shift left, that is starting security as early as possible, to basically ensure that we detect misconfigurations right from the time it has been built. Identify and implement the security guardrails to improve the quality assurance that is very much needed for QA perspective. And since we are managing more and more number of microservices, the security controls should not be manual, rather it should be more automated and API driven, just like a Docker bench that we are using, so that we don't have to go to an individual benchmark standard and go to a terminal and see which is not matching. There should be a tool that should automate the whole process. Some of the references that I've referred, that I use for my talk here. And thank you, and I'm open to questions now.
Wow, that was really awesome. Thank you so much. I'm looking at the chat, and I want to see, does anybody have any questions they'd like to propose to Suman? A lot of great information, and really appreciate the time you put into putting that together for us. Looking here, I noticed that you have a JFrog shirt that none of us have tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
Were you at Swamp Up? Were you at Swamp
Yes.
Up last year? Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
I got it from this.
That is definitely one of my.
This is yeah. It's also my favorite. I was about to say, actually. It reminds of Doctor Strange.
That's exactly what it was supposed to do. Absolutely. Dr. Strange Frog is what we like to refer to him internally. So that's really awesome, Suman. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I know that your slides will be available, and perhaps also you can hang out in the chat for a little while in case anybody has any questions. You can feel free to answer it. And we really, again, appreciate you being part of this tonight.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Harry.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you all for listening to this, and I'll be available in the chat. Feel free to post any questions if needed.
Awesome.
Thank you.